where it becomes real. Because you can sit up and tell somebody what to do, but until you do it yourself, oh, let me tell you. I put the Mercedes-Benz into the garage, I grabbed my F-150, and I went out there and I worked in the ground with everybody. I went to the grassroots, and I started coaching, teaching, working with, doing, lifting, everything that I would ask someone to do. I did it. I asked my wife, please, be patient with me. And I spent 4.5 to 5 years in industries that I was always afraid of. I pushed myself so far past my comfort zone that I grew. That I actually grew. And by the time I wrote my book, not only was I confirmed, but I did have thousands of people that had started having success, and they didn't have to change a lot, just inside. Just change what they view, change their world as they see it. And you had tremendous differences, and it became extremely fulfilling to me. So what I like to do is I like to lean in and go into those principles, but let's recap. I've played on several teams, some of the greatest players that's ever played the game. And had the opportunity to come from a little kid, barely spoke English, starting 10th grade year in high school playing basketball, to 7 years later being on a championship team. And I'm not saying that as a brag, I'm saying that as, wow, I still am amazed by it. The one common denominator, if I had to chalk all of this up, because I obviously can't go through every single detail right now, it comes down to one key thing. This key thing is I've marked as a consistent common denominator that is missing within most businesses that have a random stuff. Small businesses, large businesses, Fortune 500 companies. I've spent the last couple of years speaking all over the United States and different parts of the world. And this common denominator exists everywhere. And I'm going to go over keys to you so you can avoid the pitfalls that a lot of small businesses and large businesses share. So what is that common denominator? It's called culture. Now some of you guys probably could have guessed culture. Okay, just culture? Okay, yeah, I get that. But what does that really mean, culture? Raise your hand if you're a business owner in here. Okay? So basically, you are a business owner and you are selling yourself or product or service. You're selling yourself first. But basically, there's something that you're marketing, right? So a lot of companies don't understand how people really view them. We're going to go over that in a minute. The culture of your company, your state of existence, its standard definition starts with the behavior of humans within an organization and the meaning that people attach to those behaviors. So you have the old school way of thinking, and you have the new school. But if you look back, some of the key reasons why the new school is succeeding, new leadership in companies, doing everything, Fortune 500 countries above, are breaking records, is because it's not because it hasn't existed ever. It's because of a lot of the companies as they grew, they focused on the wrong things. So the old way of focusing on culture was they focused on yesterday's problems. It was in a protect and defend mode. But you understand my point. Protect and defend. Okay, let's just make sure we don't lose money. What were our results of last year, the year before? What did we increase? Let's just make sure we do at least do that. They set their rims so much lower. Do you know that average business, it's 2.1 years, it's almost exactly, that the actions that they take 2.1 years prior that causes them to fail, they don't realize until after they fail. Is that powerful or what? So that means whatever you do today, you're not really going to know the results until over 2 years later if you're a somewhat large business. So if they're in a protect and defend mode, they're always scrambling. There's no time for growth. That's kind of a selfish mentality because they're all focused on them. Whereas companies that are excelling, You saw it hit the market with Apple and Steve Jobs. And you've seen all these leaders, including Infusionsoft was one of them, that are recreating culture and identifying a totally different culture. It's based on solving tomorrow's problems and providing tomorrow's solutions. See, when you think of it that way, now your energy and all the input that you're putting in and your output will be on the right plane. Will be on the right plane. Okay. There's a phrase that I like to use, a quote, and this is very powerful before we lead in. Victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first, then seek to win. Sun Tzu, Art of War. How many of you guys have read that book before? Wow, that's about right. I know most of the women in the room have probably read that before the men have. Right? Oh, I hear a good laugh over there. You got that one, right? Okay. So this introduces you guys now the 5 major keys to a winning culture. We're going to discuss those 5 keys to actually create a winning culture. Key number 1, identify your company's success DNA. What is your success DNA? What is your company's unspoken state of being that is present when you're not? Key focus here is when you're not around. So how does a company operate? What is the culture when you're not there? Because what is happening when you're gone is what your company's really about. And the way you want to focus on this is you want to start off with your core passion of why you started your business in the first place. What was the original reason why you started? So who here has a business that I can ask some questions? By the way, raise your hand. You man, go ahead. So what was the original reason? What's your business?
Profits. We work with and we fill the gaps between product development, sales, marketing, and consumer products.
Oh, pretty good. Okay, so products to profit. Great name too, by the way. That's a great title. So what was the original reason why you started your business?
Because we actually change people's relationship to their creativity. We want to expand creativity on the planet. And we do it through products.
Awesome. Awesome. That is awesome. Now, you've probably started your company because you've seen a huge void and that's needed, obviously, right? Frustration. Yes.
And people feel their creativity stifled, and we actually show them how to implement it so they make money with it.
I can't have picked a perfect person to answer that question, to be honest with you. Because that is exactly right. What you have is people starting their business and their original reason, they're so excited. Honey, look, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And they go and they share it with people and everybody's energetic and everything. And then they get to the HR department. Then they sit down with the CPA. Then you have to do all this, and next thing you know, all the logistics of your business starts to weigh on you. It starts to really start taking over. Matter of fact, you start off your business being 90% creative, 10% logistical. And within a few years, it's 90% logistical and 10% creative. And that's when you start feeling like, what am I doing? That's when you've got your hand on your forehead in the middle of the night. Because you're consumed like this. But if you can stay focused on what your intent is and what your company's success DNA is from the beginning, you won't slip into being the tech for your company. I've done it. You will avoid things that take you off track to focus on what your company is really about. And you'll be able to establish a culture. Now, who are you to your customer? How does your customer view you guys? Right? That's very important to understand. What is it that your customers see when you're talking to them? When you're sharing your business, your mantra, what do they see? A lot of people are sadly mistaken. So it's very important to define what your customers view. Whether you want to do it through surveys, whether you want to do. But once you focus on what the customers want and what they need, the feedback you get allows you to stay on track with that. Next, vision for the future. What is your vision? What is your vision for your company? And better yet, does the people associated with your company understand that vision? What is the company's desired outcome? Not goal, desired outcome. Let me explain that for a second real quick. Goals are great, don't get me wrong, okay? A set of dates, times, situations, places, instances where you can track your progress. Goals. The problem is most people use a goal and they set everything on that goal, on that date, time, place, or apparent destination to them, that it becomes a destination. And when they get there to that date, they want to lose 20 pounds, or they want to have a certain amount of revenue by this date, or if they want to grow their business to a certain component by a certain date. And if they don't have that exact number or close to it, they felt like they failed. Now they suffer a setback. The setback isn't only in front of them for a numbers wise, which is a false pretense that they've created. They've created a certain goal and amount or a apparent destination that's built on false pretenses. But not only does it happen that way, but it happens psychologically as well.